That should be more than enough supplies for such things. Do we really need that much Korb? Whatever. If people use it, they use it. People don't, it'll just be in storage. Food stores are adequate. I suppose I could treat myself. It's a chest. Need to figure out something about that. These reoccurring debriefs are nothing more than a distraction. Need to figure out if it's a sign of symptoms getting worse or just something that can be handled on its own. An effect of this realm. Suppose don't have much experience with these lengthened debriefs here. Suppose why would I even ask about that? If I mention it to the physician.
Hello? Hello?
Hello? Oru.
Oh, your salt line is...
Hmm?
Could have sworn you had a salt line there.
Oh, that... Don't worry about it. Come on in.
I was wondering if you were open to talk a little bit. Nothing serious, just a little friendly conversation.
Alright. So long as this isn't another attempt to take me out for a drink.
Sorry?
One of the city leaders attempted to ask me out for a drink, as it were. But so long as it's friendly conversation, I don't see why not.
Yes. It's entirely friendly conversation.
Then yes, would you like to sit someplace, or...
Wherever you feel comfortable, I don't mind.
Closer to the hearse is warmer.
Okay.
Have you eaten?
Yes I have.
So, Oru, what did you want to talk about?
I just wanted to check up on things, mainly, but to also ask a few questions about Convectra, experiences here versus there.
Alright. I'm open to listening to your questions.
And if a question or two is too uncomfortable to answer, or there's something
Then
that you
I
can't
won't.
answer, of course, just laying that out. Well, first question, and this is one that I think I need answered because
Oh.
why is the archive in Convectron's temple so filled with books on gold?
Temple?
I don't know what it's called over there. I've just been referring to it as temple.
The place beyond the portal.
Yes.
We've been referring to that as a labyrinth.
Okay. Well,
And honestly, I don't know either. It's quite infuriating. That place rose up during the initial shake. The few books that do have writing, well, the obsession with gold is stereotypically a piglin trait. I don't know, most of the books I looked through didn't seem to have much use. Sure,
Yes.
for a gold metallurgist, sure. But other than that, not much value to be found there.
Yes, I sadly realized that after going through a 4.5 books.
More persistent than I gave up about 20 books in, though I took from more than one floor.
I simply kept telling myself, there's gotta be something useful, right?
Well, good to know there's nothing there, so I won't waste my own time with that.
The books there were either about gold and how many times you can use it for butter knives, or blank.
Yes, I found quite a few of the blank myself. Very infuriating when you're looking for a way out, and all signs of direction are either, oh, this is how many times you can use a gold cup, or blank.
That type of thing is quite infuriating.
Must say, if you looked through an entire floor, you must have been through Convectra for quite a while. Feeling any adverse effects?
No? Actually, no, I've not. And I even got checked up by Construct as well, and have not had any signs. Although I can say that my time in Convectra has been useful.
Oh.
I.e., I've gotten plenty of metal.
Looks like a decent blade.
Although sadly, I've only upgraded 2 of my tools. Next, I hope to upgrade my armor with the same, but haven't been there in quite some time, so I haven't gotten the materials yet.
It's a wonderful tool if you can get it, but...
It's nice and light. I like it.
And
Strong,
sharper
too.
than most things you can find.
Wasn't surprised that it needed to be fused with gold, though.
From my understanding, it's something about actually being able to meld and use it, rather than it being too hard to shape on its own.
Yes, I tried to mally it into something useful without the gold, but
And it shattered?
more like it was unusable.
Oh, there's just someone upstairs. I like to keep an eye on if people enter or exit the premises. Old habits.
Understand. Ooh.
But other than our metals, what other discoveries have you found?
Well, there's the discovery of onyx. A type of black rock that you keep up. Well, one of the types of black rock that you keep over there.
Yes, the gemstone.
It's a lovely looking gemstone.
It is. It is what I use to repair any cracks I have.
Yes, I've yet to find any other uses for onyx so far. But I have found a use for sulfur. Yes, it's
Explosive in the right hands.
as a potion ingredient, yes. It's interesting how it functions. But yes.
I suppose so. Well, you said you had questions, plural. What else do you have to ask?
Well, like I said, I wish to know how you've all been.
As a group, we have been handling ourselves to an extent. People seem to be at the point where they can stand on their own feet rather than being in an utter state of chaos. However, that brings its own problems. As well, those of us with what folks have been calling corruption have been dealing with their symptoms.
Yes, so that's interesting is the fact that I have been collecting butterfly samples over there, and none of them have caught on to this corruption, so I'm still trying to figure out how it works.
Yes, from what I've seen, most of the general animals are acting quite similarly to how they normally would, but creatures you would expect more intelligence from, piglin blazes and such, seem liable to get the corruption. I ran a bit of a test myself, so after we retrieved Ganymede, you noticed how quickly it seemed to snap back to sanity, yes? At least not perfectly, but further lucidity. I tried bringing another person who seemed utterly corrupted, for a lack of a better word, through. The results with Ganymede were not replicatable. Not even like an animal. It was much more along the lines of... With animals, you know, to an extent they have a set of rules that they will obey, that there are fears and desires and stuff that, while not applicable to people, are rules and logic, recognition in their eyes of the world around them. This one I brought through didn't even seem to have that. Just lashing out at everything, including itself. It seems as if there's some sort of point of no return.
I wonder if it needs a certain level of intelligence, maybe.
Boy.
Sorry, I couldn't help but overhear what you all were talking about.
It's a public space.
Well,
You're not
yes,
intruding.
No, I was just curious as to what you're talking about.
Trying to figure out how exactly this corruption works.
Yes, it's not something I've really been able to decipher either, mainly because well, sorry, I'm not. Is it? Sorry, give me a. Sorry, I don't seem to be affected by it yet, anyhow. I know others have been, but I'm unsure of how it functions.
Well, it seems that some people are far enough gone that it can't be fixed as easily as bringing them out of Convectra. That's what we were saying.
Like who?
I attempted to bring another blaze through.
And
Their mind was completely shattered. It was as if their template itself had already been ruined. Their programming. It was as if it was completely, irrevocably damaged.
I mean, this corruption could function like a disease then, infecting a host and progressively getting worse over time, even if one isn't in Convectra. It could be possible that if you catch it, you have it, and it has to go treated, else it rampages your body.
What a wonderful thought to have for my own prognosis.
Granted, I don't think we have any sort of folks who might be suffering for other than Ganymede, of course. Maybe. But
Bori.
If I remember correctly, there was 2 of your group, including Alecto.
I'm not going to lie, the first few hours of me being here were mainly just me learning what the color green was and what a tree here looked like.
Bori, I am green. And I am corrupted.
You are a bluish color. And well, I mean,
and so was
Navon.
Haven't really seen them around. Just curious.
No, they've been resting mainly.
Well, that's good.
Their corruption was much more physical than mental.
If I could posit something, I suppose I've already told one of you in the room. I'm not sure how another. Shortly after I exited, I mean, were you feeling symptoms within Convectra itself?
As soon as the shift happened, yes.
That's funny, because I didn't feel even... Well, I'm not sure I'm even corrupted, to be truthful with you. It could be something unrelated, but
have you been
by the minute
tested?
Well, I went to Construct a while back, and they ran tests on my blood, so I'm fairly sure they would have found the corruption then. But the moment I stepped out of the portal, you remember, I was hacking, coughing. It took me a moment to compose myself.
Yeah.
Essentially, the second I stepped out of the portal, apparently, you know the green people, the zombies, I think they call them.
Yeah.
They're infected with something that also has infected my people. Turns out it may be one and the same, and I essentially instantly contracted it the moment I stepped out of the portal. I've been staving it off, I suppose, but...
How do you stave off this disease?
Well, I mean, Construct gave me these golden apples and bottles of nasty red fluid that seemed to stave it off. But weirdly, another thing I found was that going back to Convectra seemed to halt all my symptoms altogether.
I'm not sure for the second part, but give me a moment.
Well, it was actually going to... Okay, well, food. second thing I was going to say.
Oh, where did I put those? I could have sworn we had golden apples in storage.
Oh, I have a few. I'm going to need to restock, but I'm sure it's not a process I can't replicate. It's that bottle of red fluid. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Actually, that's 2 good days worth.
It's just apples and gold.
I
As
need
for the
to-
regeneration.
Well, it's red. Construct labeled them healing. I'm not sure if that's different. Oh,
It's not the
Well-
exact variant.
it's a
but-
similar color. I'm sure it will work. Might be the formula's a bit off. But what I was going to posit, thank you. What I was going to posit was that it could be possible the corruption's progression as a disease is dependent on the person being in contact with more of it. So, all right, maybe I should map this out. So you contract the corruption within Convectra, yes?
Yes.
And then the virus, whatever it might be, continues to spread within you as you are coming in contact with more of it. It's sharing its resources, and this allows it to multiply. Think of when a baby is born almost. They might have to meet with other virus particles, I suppose, in order to spread further. Well, then you leave Convectra. There's no more virus particles that can interact with each other in order to multiply. So then the virus might attempt something in order to get you back into Convectra. This theory is much more plausible with myself. I mean, I don't think have you been experiencing any kind of draw to go back? I mean, I've heard you've jumped back in a couple of times for attempted rescue missions. Has anything compelled you to do that other than yourself?
How would I even be able to tell the difference, Bori?
I suppose that's a fair point, yes. But you've had a temptation to go back in, and I myself could be experiencing this same thing. I mean, I contracted this zombifying virus the moment I stepped out of the portal. It could be that whatever corruption it is because, I mean, we're obviously dealing with magic here. It's going to be smarter than your average virus that's only goal is to multiply and survive. This corruption maybe knows my kind contract this as soon as I step out the portal, and my symptoms could be manifesting.
You said that Construct determined you weren't corrupted.
That's what they said, yes, but it may be I'm saying maybe it wasn't at a detectable level at that moment. I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of threshold. We all are probably a bit corrupted, considering we were all in Convectra at the moment of the shift. I can't imagine the place where we found the portal was completely clean of this corruption, nor do I think we could simply avoid it. We are probably all likely a small amount corrupted that's slowly dying off with each minute, hour, day we stay in the overworld. However, staying in the Convectra for longer periods of time allows it to fester, to grow more. Did you have a particularly long walk in order to get to the portal? Maybe took a detour to help some folks, stayed behind a little longer?
Bori, I'm not sure your zombification issue and the corruption are equivalent.
Oh, well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the two are, in my case, might be playing to each other. Well, I'm zombified by something completely separate, and the corruption seizes that opportunity as an attempt to get me to go back by curing me of this disease whenever I'm within Convectra in order to spread itself further. At least in my case, it does seem to be unique for both of us. I mean, maybe the corruption knows it wouldn't have to convince you and simply relied on the fact that you would go back inside to find more in order to spread and there's a postulate there's a P word for that I think I'm missing. I can't find it, but my point is, maybe it didn't feel the need to do anything for you. Maybe it simply knew you were going to go back anyway, which allowed you to become more infected. To the point where it became at a detectable level. I've only been in Convectra one other time since I came out the portal, and that was to assist in the rescuing of Ganymede. And that was the time I realized my zombification symptoms dwindled the minute I stepped back in the portal. I hadn't been tested since then, so it could be very possible I have a detectable amount of corruption within me as well, but I'm not quite sure how I could tell beyond getting tested.
Alright then, Doctor. Then what's the cure for this illness in me?
Well, I didn't say I had the solution to that. It could be that you're beyond the point the virus needs to replicate further, and it might not need to. Or it could be the longer you stay here, the more it dies out, and eventually you will be cured by time. I couldn't tell you. It's the part I'm not entirely sure of, and again, I'm postulating a theory here when I say my corruption could be stopping the virus of zombification within me from progressing. That's a complete Hail Mary there. I think that's what you
usually
say,
before you diagnose someone, you ask them about their symptoms.
Well, I'm sorry, but someone else did that for me. You know, with you getting tested and whatnot.
Alright.
I mean, I don't know your symptoms. It could be you were compelled by some other force, and I did try to ask, you know, if you felt compelled by some alternate force that wasn't yourself to go back within Convectra, but again, I'm just postulating a theory.
My symptoms have been getting worse, by the way.
Which are?
Moments of erratic behavior primarily related to unnecessary orders being placed upon me from a lack of a proper source. Cyrus dictated them as being similar to essentially random electrical bursts.
What do you mean, orders from a... Are you saying that's what starts them when you are ordered by someone to do something?
Bori.
I'm genuinely...
I'm a program and a device.
Oh.
All things I do are based on sets of orders. If orders are proccing without proper scenarios for them, I can act erratically.
So you're carrying out something which criteria hasn't been met, say, eating when you don't need to,
Setting
uncontrollable...
up a defense of iron golems around an academy I have no need to defend, for instance.
Well, yeah, that makes sense then. Yeah, that's... But,
I was actually going to mention this as well later in our conversation, but my nightly debriefs, normally Blazes will have a small trance state where they have a debrief of previous events in the day to assimilate the knowledge. They've been getting more and more erratic over time, bringing data that is no longer needed. That's just started over the past couple days.
Does any of this... I mean, obviously not the nightly debriefs unless you're sleeping in Convectra, but do these erratic behaviors occur in Convectra?
They happen in both.
Maybe my theory was wrong then. I'm not sure. Have you slept in Convectra?
No, like I said, it is a short trance state.
Well, it is odd. And again, I'm no doctor. It was simply a theory, but... I mean, what about the other person afflicted with,
Navon.
Actually, wait.
Or
It-
Ganymede.
Well, no, I was going to say, you can't get a virus, can you?
I can't acquire illnesses.
Hmm.
No.
Well, it is a magical corruption, so that could explain it.
Seeing as I am essentially magic running the likeness of a person, yes.
It could be you're far more susceptible to it than maybe I might be, seeing as you're made of magic compared to me, who's
I
more
theorized that as well.
full of blood. I mean, who else was more susceptible to it? Ganymede, who is in a similar situation as you.
And then Navon.
Is Navon similarly made of magic?
Navon is a researcher and organic.
Hmm. Was Navon within Convectra for a longer period of time?
What does that even mean?
I'm saying, was Navon like Ganymede for when Ganymede we rescued
we left
days
the
after?
portal together.
Oh,
She was
I-
there.
I'm sorry. I haven't very well met many of you, and it was
White
my first
hair
time.
and glasses.
Oh, yes, I remember them now. I haven't seen them in a moment, but I remember them.
Mm-hmm. Well, their corruption seems more physical than mine.
Could maybe that be the difference? Magical beings have more mental corruption, organic beings have more physical. I mean, it would explain why my physical virus is going away when I'm within... I mean, I certainly haven't had erratic behaviors, nor have I... Well, I guess the equivalent for me would be have weird dreams. Like your nightly debriefs are getting erratic. I haven't been having weird dreams, but it could be the difference. I mean, how many other magical people did we leave with? There was you, we found Ganymede later. Navon, Lef? Is Lef? I'm not sure what Lef is, other than annoying.
Left's a delight.
Yeah, try saying that after... Never mind. Wovi, Echo... Well, Echo, certainly. I mean, I don't think we'd figure out if Echo is corrupted even if Echo consented to another test.
Oh, he
Nor do I
has
know what...
tells.
Well, is Echo or I'm not sure.
Yes.
So, Wovi, we're not sure about Lef. We'll keep that on a back burner. Wovi and Echo are organic, and they weren't corrupted upon leaving.
So I
Or no,
said-
Wovi. Yes, sorry, I'm very mixed up. Wovi is corrupted.
No.
No, Neva. I'm all mixed up. I'm sorry.
The only ones of your group that are corrupted, that we know of so far, are Alecto, Navon, and Ganymede.
Correct.
Okay.
Ganymede seems to be the more further along than the three.
I mean, it's simply a matter of time in that scenario. Ganymede was exposed far longer than Alecto or Navon were.
Yes, but exposed to what exactly? That's what we're trying to figure out.
I mean, being in Convectra seems like the obvious answer.
Well, what in Convectra is causing it?
I would like to know that too, if it even is something within Convectra. I believe Oru was there when some were talking. I think the both of you were there when they mentioned a core within. Was it Umbra or Chasma? I get them mixed up all the
It was
time.
the same place, just the core was simply located in Casma.
Okay,
or around Chasma.
this core within Chasma, right? That was said to maybe have been used for draining magic, or magic was being
We
drained
do
from
not know
it.
that for sure.
We don't know that for sure, but if it is the case, it could be the reason why extra-dimensional, if that is what my world is. I suppose you do have to...
If Convectra even has a core, I'm not aware of that. Nor have I heard anything about that.
Oh, I didn't even think of Convectra maybe having a core. I was trying to say maybe this core is affecting all realms, but if Convectra also has one that's getting drained somehow, that could explain this and make this problem far easier to solve.
No, because from what I can tell, while magic is being affected in both realms, it's not as if Umbrans and Chasmans are having equivalent symptoms.
You're right. No one from Umbra or Chasma has been corrupted.
The only thing that's happening to our realm is that it's being drained of magic. That is
And
all.
not any corruption going
While
on.
our magic is acting more erratically.
Could it be the scenarios are completely separated, or could it be that maybe
A theory
different...
that I have been thinking of that stemmed from a previous conversation that we were all present for is that all of our realms are facing one type of magic illness, and it is simply different because it's acting on our realm's natural instinct. Yours, seemingly from what I have viewed so far, and given data that I've collected from conversations with Convectrans as well so far, Convectra seems to be a lot more hostile.
in general, yes.
Therefore the illness there is affecting the people and not the place. Meanwhile, ours wasn't as such, so it is mostly just draining the magic because there's no other natural phenomenon to latch onto.
Well, you say
Our
this.
world is simply decaying.
If I could,
Latching onto a failed
there seems to be a kind of common link. With either of these magical drainings, it does one thing. It either kills or pushes people out. For Umbrans and Chasmans, it would be far easier for such a thing to just begin decaying their world. They're not going to fight back plausibly or even really have much resistance. They're simply going to move on. But with Convectrans are far more used to maybe losses of magic,
I
maybe...
wouldn't insult people that way.
No, I'm just saying we're far more resilient and, more wild-natured compared to... I mean, you all lived in a big city. I mean, you had it a lot easier.
Easier?
I mean...
I would like for you to tell that to a Chasman and say that they live easier. I want you to do that.
Well, Umbrans were actively oppressing Chasmans, so obviously they were not having it easier.
Bori, I'll say this once. Never loop me in with the Umbrans that did that.
I'm not. I'm just stating.
That is insulting.
I'm just stating that's what was happening. I wasn't looping you into that. I apologize.
You simply said it as if all Umbrans were.
Well, from my understanding, it was, the Umbran leaders. I should have phrased it better,
I'll just
yes.
gently remind you that we are outside the walls if anything does happen.
Outside what walls? What? Well, my point is that it would have been easier to drive out Umbrans and Chasmans than it would Convectrans. I mean, so maybe that's why our magic took a more corruption. I mean, you said it was simply being drained from your world, right? Who's to say maybe that's not happening at the same time? It's simply that this corruption is meant to be a deterrent for Convectrans to stop it. It could be Convectrans are closer to the source of whatever is causing this, but... theory is shaky. It seems though the main goal of both of these magical events, if there is one, is to drive people out or outright kill them. I mean, I imagine a lot of infrastructure was based on magic, and for magic to be completely drained in Umbra and Chasma, it would be disastrous.
I will neither confirm nor deny that.
I mean, if it's a citywide secret, you're really not sharing it with many people who are going to kill you for it.
No, it is not, simply because I will not confirm it for Chasma. Seeing as
Oh,
I've never been there.
but Umbra.
We did rely on magic a lot.
So then having something like that taken away from you, with a way you've known of living, is certainly not someplace you'd want to stay. So it made you leave. Although it does put into question the
It didn't
possibility
make
of
all of us
someone...
leave.
Well, yes, you were an expedition party, but that does put into question why someone or something would blow up the portal to keep you here. With us Convectrans, maybe it's harder to recreate that. Maybe it's harder
How about
to...
you take your hoof out of your mouth before you insult our guest more?
I was simply stating it's harder to create a portal to their realm than it is ours. I mean, it was common lava rock that made our portal, and I mean, I'm not sure what your portal was made of, but it may have been...
A lot of technology.
Is a more intricate process, is what I'm stating.
Yes, but here's the thing, though. Your world is surrounded by lava, which is why your portal is so much easier to make, as you have stated. Our world is in the void.
You're missing my point. Our portal is easier to make, exactly why a concurrent corruption forcing us out is needed.
Needed
I'm-
for what?
To keep us out.
For what? That's what they're asking.
Oh, that's why we're having this conversation. I'm not sure, but I'm saying it's...
Or normally it's safer not to theorize on things unless you have the research to properly base theories on.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm just pointing out a common link. Both of these magical events are forcing people out of their dimensions. I mean...
Yes, and now we're trying to figure out why we're being forced out.
Well, that wasn't what I was positing. Was that a... Sorry, I just thought I heard something.
What type of sound?
Just a little... tss.
Oh, my snake.
Oh, yes, okay, I'm sorry. Where did Oru... Oh,
Oru?
right, I forgot the both of you can just fly up there.
I went up the stairs, Bori.
Oh, I just must have not looked. You can fly, right? Or am I thinking of someone else? Right, yes, but can you use them? I haven't ever seen you use them.
He used them in your presence before, yes.
Oh, I apologize. I have very poor memory, it seems.
Yes, I
Quite.
simply have my wings curled up with not ease.
Very practical. Leaves you vulnerable. Okay.
Oh,
So
hello,
close to the
little
lava.
one.
It's so close to the lava. I mean,
Isn't
Snakes
she,
love
darling?
heat.
hello.
Hello.
Tisiphone.
Do they not need legs?
No.
I mean, it's
They
just Oru has
utilize-
legs.
I'm
I
not
just,
gonna
I,
give that answer.
I just thought you're.
Just
I
your
just thought-
and I-
unrelenting hunger and desire for warmth.
I feel like this is a bit much for something so small. I mean, right next to a big pool of lava.
Are you
But I suppose
threatening
it's a-
her?
No, no, I'm just saying it might be a bit much to be so close to a pool of lava if you're looking for warmth. I mean, this is like warmth in a. What is it you call them? The big. They always depicted them really scarily in books. Had all the ice falling, like ice, whatever that is, like falling from the sky. Lots of wind. It was really cold.
Winter?
Hail.
Yes, during whatever that is. Yes,
Construct explain the concept of winter. It sounds utterly dreadful.
Oh god. I just know there was lots of ice that comes from the sky. Winds blow a lot. It's colder than it is like normally around here. And it just sounds awful. And it also piles up on the ground. It gets everywhere. You have to walk through it. Oh god. People did not write favorably about winter when I read about it.
It's meant as a, from what I've read, it's meant as a time for nature itself to take a break.
It needs a break, doesn't it just
The
constantly
era
exist?
of death, from my
Oh.
understanding.
You guys just have a period of time that kills you?
This isn't his realm.
Oh. I'm very confused. Well, I mean, Oru's lived here longer than we have.
By
There
a
are
few
people who
months.
live here. Well, so have you been around in winter?
No.
Oh. Well, don't look at me like I'm supposed to know that. I got here maybe like a week ago. How long has it been? I don't know.
It's
Well,
been a few weeks.
If he described that he only read about it, you can presume he hasn't experienced it.
I've said I've only read about it.
You both did.
Oh. I didn't hear that.
And in several conversations, several of us have said that we've only been here for a few months, Bori.
What? I don't know when winter is. Could be tomorrow for all I know.
Believe it's in approximately 180 phases from now. Let's see, my last log said
Phases of the moon?
day 17. Convection phases, I translated it from days.
Phases? Phases? And convection?
Um,
Maybe this is just something I've never kept track of.
an older timepiece.
Oh. Well, I apologize for snooping and, positing theories that might have sounded a little crazy. I do need to attend to my home, as I did just make a oven, and I am tempted to try it out. I think I could put some, potatoes in it, and
Boy,
I don't know, but I'm
did
gonna-
notice. You took
Oh.
your sign off of your bunk. Was something inadequate?
no, I just didn't intend on using it. I
Alright.
figured if someone else needed it, they could have it. I've built a
Hmm.
whole home
Mm,
out of materials from here, so I wouldn't need it.
Alright. Good to know.
Anyhow, again, apologies for barging in on your time and your conversation. I'll be seeing you. I'm going to go try. Kitchen? Is it kitchen? Is it that?
Yes. It's a kitchen.
I'm going to go try that out. I built one, and I'm going to see what I can do. Goodbye. I'll be seeing you. Oh, I see. Okay, I was gonna move the salt. What did?
Well, that was something.
I find it funny and a little hypocritical that he was saying he wants to try out a kitchen while just yesterday he was berating you all for having one.
Oh.
Oh yeah, I was there when he took his name off.
Really? Do tell.
Well, most of it I'll leave it to him to explain himself and his logic, if you want to call it.
Oh, you saw Tiss. Do you want to see Megara?
Oh, sure.
You can come in. Oh, Newton. This one's Ganymede's.
Yes, I see Newts seem
He's
to be
out at the
very...
moment.
I see Newts seem to be a very popular pet for the veterans.
Yes, they're one of the more docile creatures that live there. But there's Megara.
Oh, yeah, hello.
He makes quite an impression. Though I think it might be because he's due for a trim.
Do I have shoes? Yes, I do. Do you want me to?
Go ahead.
There you go. And here are the mushrooms.
Oh, you can keep them if you like.
I don't really have a need for them at the moment.
If you do cut them the right way, they are edible. At least to most convectrums. Not sure if they'd be edible here.
Can't say I've tried yet.
No, this is... Ganymede and I cohabitated before this, so we figured breaking the wall between our rooms would be fine. I've been keeping logs of my experiences here. If said corruption is increasing, it would be better to have my notes on things available to the other ones here.
That is smart, yes.
At least give them some headway against what they'll be facing.
Well, here's hoping that we have something before then, at least.
Yes, definitely.
The way the newts act
Yes.
further adds a little bit of evidence to my earlier theory. A certain level of sentience.
Yes, I think so as well. It's not as if, for instance, hoglins or ghasts are acting particularly different. Ghasts are the large, white, floating ones that scream. Hoglins are the essentially giant pigs.
Yes, I didn't know what the ghasts were called. I've just been collecting their crystalline tears. Wait for regeneration potion.
Yes, it would be.
Which is odd, but I'm not gonna complain.
No, they're at least in histories and such considered life givers. It makes sense. Sometimes warriors would consume one of their tears before a battle. Though, of course, that requires having a more molten digestive system.
Have you done that before?
Many times.
I would ask what it would taste like, but I don't know if you have that capacity to taste it.
I was not constructed with the intention to have much differentiation in taste. You would be better asking Ganymede that.
Well, I guess that leads to another question. How many different frames, as you put it, are there? As you've now described, both Ganymede and yourself having two different frames.
Frame is more a designation of bodily type, while a person's designation is what they were built for. You can technically have the same designation built in a different frame. My designation is Lycagos, essentially a military leader. Ganymede's is courtier. But total
And what
number.
do courtiers do exactly?
A courtier is an attendant to, in most cases, the fortress's bishop. They are supposed to provide them with company and advice, and tend to their needs.
And is that what Ganymede did for your bishop?
Oh, we were in different fortresses.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I have stated before, my name is Alecto Lycagos at Atlanta. I have a given name, I have a designation, and I have a fortress. That is my name. Ganymede would be Ganymede Courtier Agora. So he attended to the court of Agora. At least,
So,
back when the Empire still lived.
then is it safe to say that you two met after the Empire fell?
Not exactly. We had been in correspondence after a hostage situation.
Oh.
Ganymede had been taken hostage after a negotiation with a rival settlement of piglins had taken him hostage. But rather than being closer to Agora, where they were located was technically closer to Atalanta, and thus my group were sent to rescue him.
I see. And that is how you two met?
Yes, we remained in correspondence after, and eventually found our way to each other after the Empire's fall.
Do you by chance remember what made your empire fall?
It would be impossible to forget. The
Are you
queen is
comfortable-
decommissioned. Simple as
Alright.
that.
Is there a specific thing that leads to a queen being decommissioned? Or does it just happen over
A
time?
queen. Normally, a queen would be able to be replaced after her death. The queen did not die. She left us, abandoned us, and went dormant. I believe the term for our species is eusocial. There is a queen. There are warm bodies and cold bodies. Queens are able to bless warm bodies with other warm-bodied children. Warm bodies on their own are only able to produce cold bodies. Cold bodies, or drones, are unable to reproduce. Without a queen, it was destined that we would fall to extinction.
And what brains would the ones wandering around still in Convectra be?
They are primarily drones.
So would they have the same level of
They should.
sentience as you and Ganymede?
Many of them have had their programming scratched or damaged in some way. However, in optimal conditions, yes, they should be sentient and sapient. Still wandering the old ruins of what used to be. It's not the first time there's been some sort of magical affliction. Many of them are infected with withering. Damages their body and brain. Oh, hello, Newton.
Yes, I've noticed that this withering is not something that is considered a poison.
No, I would compare it to a necromantic bane.
If it were a normal poison, I would be immune to it. Sadly, it is not.
No, when the queen was decommissioned, when she left us, the withering took hold. And that is what collapsed many of the fortresses.
Interesting.
Some radicals might say she let it in. It's me. I'm one of them. Don't say that in front of Ganymede, though.
Say what?
Precisely.
Don't worry. Unlike a boy, I'm known to keep my mouth shut.
But no. I've seen things collapse before. That's why I was so quick to build a place for us to be defended. Because if everything hits the wall, at least we'll have a defense point. You seem to be sitting on another question.
I wouldn't say that, more so just processing everything.
Go ahead. But I've been
no.
a bad host. Is there anything I can get you?
Oh no, I'm fine.
Alright.
So you said that's what happened to your queen.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to Ganymede?
There's only one queen. Let me explain. Bishops are those who are viewed as enacting the queen's will. They have a mental connection to her, stronger than any other blaze would, and they are expected to be her will in that fortress. Some larger fortresses have more than one, but each fortress had at least one. The queen is both leader and giver of life. Normally, she would have heirs, but as she is not dead, none of them could ascend, and the species was destined to ruin.
So, then how has your species continue exactly?
We don't. We dwindle. Those of us who are alive, our eyes are drones that were built afterwards with the dwindling warm-bodied, or are those who have survived since. It's not as if we have an expiration date like many do. It's merely when we become too battered or too cold to repair.
Interesting.
I'll admit I'm not a fan of this sudden ticking clock waiting for my potential undoing with this corruption.
So, there truly isn't a way, or say, to make another Blaze a queen.
The queen, 1, would need to die. 2, an heir, a monarch, would need to be found. Or the queen to produce such a thing. She's even still capable. And then they would need to be reconstructed properly, and I'm not even sure if any with the blacksmith designation still exist.
Yeah, Newt? Newt was just over there spinning.
You know what, if that's what brings him joy.
Fair enough. So, may I ask why Ganymede was so elated when they found out I was an Arcanist?
Huh.
Because I've
Well.
never had anyone react like that.
For one, I believe Ganymede is acting as if you, as an organic, have designations in the same way we do, and we've not encountered such a thing in a while, an Arcanist. 2, if this affliction of this world is magical in nature, an Arcanist would be our best help.
That is true.
Though, truthfully, Ganymede tends to be elated in the presence of new people. You should ask him yourself.
Hmm.
Speaking of research, though, and being an Arcanist,
Mm-hmm.
have you been asked to collaborate on working through this Convectrin problem by anyone?
I have not.
A shame.
Probably most likely due to the fact that I don't really see the city leaders all that often.
No, we had tried questioning Construct about what she was doing about the problem, and they seemed a bit disorganized. And when pointed out the fact that if you collaborated with others, at least to know that you aren't retracing your steps on each other's work, they said they'd get in contact with other people. Good to hold them accountable to it, though.
Well, now that you bring up that, there is something I want to do now. Well, due to you and Ganymede both having two variable stages of this corruption, and due to the fact that you're both beings of technology and magic,
Yes.
and the corruption being magic, it would be safer and easier. Well, easier than going to Navan and asking, hey, do you mind if we take a peek under the hood, so to speak?
No, I think they're going to be a bit close to their chest about the issue.
You would know more than I.
We had some time to talk while we were both stuck in quarantine. Not mine to say, though.
But yes, I of course would need approval from Construct, but I do have the facilities in my workshop to go inside, so to speak, and look around, see where exactly this corruption might be afflicting.
How brazen.
I know. Rude.
Asking to root around in someone's core. Is this a constant with you nebulous folk?
Let me guess, Cyrus?
Cyrus.
Yes, well, I do it out of necessity, he does it out of curiosity. Normally, I would never ask to poke around under anyone unless it was needed.
I'll give it my consideration.
Of course. If you're not comfortable doing such, I will not blame you if you say no.
I will say it will be a harder sell with Ganymede.
Oh?
They are not keen on such things. To have your core exposed is to be at your most vulnerable.
That is true.
Is something clicking in that head?
No, just wouldn't really need to poke around the core necessarily. far as I can tell, at least. We
That
just
is where...
We just
Sorry, you first.
no, because this corruption might not even be affecting the core directly. Could be, say, somewhere else in the body that is sending these afflictions to the core. For all we know, the corruption is centered in your arm.
Doubtful I've taken it off since going out of the portal.
Yes, but magic doesn't need physical contact. Not always, at least.
I suppose. As much of a shame as it would be to lose one of these limbs, I'd rather that than die.
But it is just a suggestion. Or not. How to phrase this? A proposal of sorts. To get down to what corruption is, it would be easier to have a direct sample of magic itself, not it being diluted by who knows what else.
If you can write out an explanation of what exactly would happen, I'd be willing to. At least look it over. I will warn you, though. Cyrus attempted to do some tests with me that involved taking off some of my protective charms to try and get scans. I became a bit erratic. In other words, I tried to kill him.
Oh. You've
Yes.
seen my facilities, yes?
Believe so. The scanning device.
Well, it just scans everything in there. Just everything. It doesn't need to remove anything. I have no idea what device Cyrus has.
Was something involving a ritual circle.
Ah. The more crude variant.
Yes, but to get proper scans, I had to remove some of the charms and stuff keeping me this lucid.
Yes, my machine is based upon that ritual, but it is more enhanced.
Intriguing.
Yes, the divination ritual itself was imbued onto several end rods, as we call them. And as they produce the dust, anything that the dust lands on will divine itself onto my staff.
Intriguing.
Thus, I can easily just read out whatever it finds.
What creature produces an end rod?
It's a mixture of a type of plant. that we have. Yes,
I presumed something. Okay.
No. Typically it's used with a popular type of fruit that we have.
Interesting.
Yes. Yeah. That and also... Oh boy, now I'm curious as to how that we got our hands on them. Laser rods?
And there it is.
Yeah, back then, did not know where we got them. Sometimes they'll actually occur naturally, weirdly enough. Or part
Very
of a more
strange.
ancient civilization?
Well, considering from what I've heard, the Endermen are in every realm, I suppose they could make their passage over back when such things were possible.
Would seem your species has had a hand in a lot of things.
Oh.
Hopefully not literally.
Why don't you show me those facilities again, if I'm going to be subjected to them?
Sure.
Still not quite used to how your ceiling changes. Well, not your ceiling.
I get it. All of us were, well, not all of us, but most of us are not used to the sun.
No, I quite like it though.
I should really build and connect a path here.
Probably. Screw this wall. This wall doesn't need to exist.
I'll put it onto the list of things to do.
Well, if the city gets mad about it, they'll get mad about it.
Oh, where the bloody hell did these come from?
And those are fungus. I'll take that.
Alright, so my device here is what I was talking about.
And it does a whole bodily scan then?
The chamber is enclosed so that only whatever's put inside is where the dust can go and collect upon.
Perhaps. I'd rather have information that wasn't needed than die to not having information we did.
And as for where the operation itself will be,
Oh.
not the first time I've done mechanical surgery.
What sort of operation are you going to try and perform?
On you and hopefully Ganymede? Nothing extreme, just figuring out as to where corruption would be. Essentially, I would just be gathering mana samples, essentially. Seeing if there's anything outlying.
Slightly
there's-
distressing, but
Then, once we've found the source of what doesn't match, would attempt to either extract some of it, and if it was possible, if it wasn't latching on to whatever part it's on, attempt to extract all of it. If I can't extract all of it, I will simply go for a sample.
I will ask if you're planning on pulling me apart that Ganymede would be here. I don't think you're quite as skilled at restringing us.
That I can attest to never having done, considering the fact that the end has never had actual blazes before.
These limbs are prosthetics that are controlled both through heavy, how should I put this? High tension wires as well as minute forms of telekinesis. However, without the wires properly in place, the limbs are essentially useless.
At some point, I think it would be prudent to have a structured book of teaching for the sake of us understanding how.
Anatomy?
Yes. Just in
Perhaps.
case both of you are out of order, let's say.
We should still be able to speak if we're taken apart. The issue is more if we're both corrupted.
Corrupted or incapacitated.
Well, if our temperature gets too low, just reheat us.
Good to know. That would explain the lava.
I'm a bit more resilient in temperature than Ganymede is. He requires much higher temperatures than me. As I mentioned, warm bodies, cold bodies. It's a literal term.
But yes, if you are both comfortable with this, and not only this but also the book, would be greatly appreciated.
I'll bring
I've
it
done-
up to them.
I've done work on golems and creating and also implanting fake, well, not fake, but magical organs. I've never dealt with lasers before, so
Golems and magical organs. Interesting. From what you explained earlier, it sounds as if the golems of your realm were relatively simplistic.
indeed. Was never told to give them any form of sentient, so we never did. With the iron golems, at least. I can't say about other types.
No, they didn't seem particularly intelligent. Though they did seem aware that I was speaking to them. Apologies for that little outburst at the academy.
You're fine. Trust me, I would rather people be honest with me than just to keep things internally.
No, I meant about fortifying it.
Oh, no, you gave a proper opinion.
I didn't remember that until about 2 hours after.
Interesting. But yes,
Seemed
now,
to have
for
flown
the...
under the leader's radar, but you know.
Yes, now, fortifying anything is only logical, really. So how has Ganymede been?
To some extent, I think. He's been trying to put up a facade of normalcy to make up for all the strange things happening.
And they haven't been back to Convectra?
No, I've assured that, considering their state before.
Don't want to risk that becoming permanent.
Exactly. I'd rather whatever is wrong with Convectra be fixed before they can give it back.
So
Why did they build this gate in such a way?
that I cannot. A little too.
Open,
Yes.
vulnerable to attack, flammable walls.
I mean, the walls. Maybe they just used whatever was more available.
Where
So
are we headed?
Oh, just back to the hearth.
Okay.
There isn't a road yet back from my house
there
to you.
isn't.
Something I will make sure to do next. Seeing as we've gone that way plenty of time now.
You had
So
a question.
I was about I was just going to ask, so Convectra doesn't have gods, from what I'm understanding. Or at least gods that you don't know, that you're not aware of at least.
No, not particularly. It's a fairly new concept. The closest things I've been able to compare it to are either demonic deals or forms of ancestor worship.
Makes me wonder what your world is governed by.
It isn't.
That explains so much.
Oh,
This way.
do tell.
Oh,
There's a salt percolating in there. Might as well let it out.
well. Most of the time, realms are governed by gods or things that are close to godly. Our realm had ours, Nocturin has theirs.
I have been wondering with that comment of the lightning, was it? Which god I've managed to catch the attention of.
Honestly, it could just be one of the Nocturin gods being petty.
No, maybe. I don't think I know the names of any of yours. You mentioned foreign, though.
Our god of nature and agriculture.
What are the others, then?
Honestly, I have not paid attention enough to remember their names. Their gods, their worry, not mine.
Careful, they might smite you for that.
That's assuming they can even reach me in this world.
Fair.
I know Thorn can, I don't know about the others.
I'd offer you something to eat, but I'll be honest, I've primarily been eating mushrooms this entire time.
If you weren't what you are, I would say that's very concerning, but I don't know if a balanced diet really concerns you.
Something that burns and burns evenly.
Mm-hmm.
That tends to be most of the constraint about it. The desserts you introduced me to, they burn quick and nicely, but something a little more substantial than that tends to be better.
I'm curious as to how Bori fits into everything.
Oh. In what sense?
Mostly...
You can say it out loud.
No, I'm just trying to figure out how to phrase this. In a previous conversation, Bori does not consider you all to be in the same group.
That. No, he isn't. The Hellions Conflux was our settlement, where, well, now, everyone who has a name here and about 28 others lived. Though there were some who lived there temporarily. Bori was a traveling trader who would come through the conflux at some points, and he happened to be there when the world ended. I decided to share the olive branch by offering him a place to stay here. He seems to have rescinded it, and perhaps that's for the better.
I was mainly referring to them not really considering themselves Convectron.
Convectron?
Yes.
Well, that's a new piece of gossip.
To phrase it his way, considers himself, or has referred to himself, saying that you all see him as an animal more than a person.
I don't see him as an animal, Oru. I see him as an asshole. He's as much an animal as any of the other people here, excluding myself and Ganymede.
The asshole thing, I definitely agree after the conversation.
Yes. But no, I don't have any particular malice towards piglins for being piglins. Perhaps a few individual piglins. The scar under my left eye, for instance. But, you know, that's settled.
I would suggest getting that.
No. Getting that what?
That regardless, you're all still Convectron.
Yes, we are.
He
I
does not
don't
seem to
see.
agree with that.
I don't see why he feels the need to distance himself from us. I've made it exceedingly clear that he has the rights to a room and use of all of the communal facilities here. As he said himself, he built a house out of the storage here.
See, that feels insulting.
A little.
A little.
Honestly, I was expecting you two to turn to blows earlier.
No. I'm willing to be civil. Until they do anything that's crossing a line.
Yes, and I've been advised to be on my best behavior. Desperate times make people unpredictable. So best to give them a bit of a berth. But no, I don't know what he's talking about with that. Perhaps some of the others hold that opinion, but they are not me. And I don't know about it.
The main point, well, if you can even call it that at this point, is that they kept bringing up, oh, but my people are slaughtered without care.
People are slaughtered when they attempt to kill someone. Yes. I figure that is common sense. As I mentioned, I killed one of my own after trying to bring them over to see if the corruption would fade. I do not relish in that. However, I believe it's the right of someone, if they're threatened, that they can deal with the threat accordingly. It's not as if I've gone to the other side to hunt piglin for sport.
Yeah, sometimes I don't think Bori quite understands.
The concepts of self-defense.
That or, honestly at this point, anything. Although I will admit, maybe I went a little too harshly in conversation.
I don't know. It was enjoyable to watch.
Oh, I was talking about the other conversation that we had previously.
Oh. Intriguing.
Might have been harsh, but I felt as if it was needed to be said.
What was said?
Just because they have the capacity to understand does not mean they can understand.
And here I thought there were rules against assaulting someone.
Thankfully, being honest is not considered assault.
I don't know, it sounds as if you eviscerated him.
They asked for a copy of the journal that I have.
Yes.
I don't really know what Bori is capable of, so I asked them, since they got a copy from Tenebrous, or so they said, that I would like to see what they can do with that copy first, before giving them something that may or may not actually help.
And what did he present?
Oh, he said that he's not capable, but would still make a copy. Just to see.
At least make up a lie.
Yes, and then I don't know how, but we ended up coming here. He complained and said some things that I will let him go into. And I went on a 15-minute while he stared into the fire, or lava, and just went on and on.
Without stopping for breath.
Probably. Then walked over to the sign and removed his name.
I think if that one stops talking, you need to check him for a pulse.
Somehow I got him to stop talking.
Oh, impressive.
Yes, once he was done with his monologue, and he tried to interrupt me, I put my metaphorical foot down and said, no, it's my turn to talk. That shut him up real quick.
Yes. If I had to pick who had made it through the portal, well, not only would more people have made it through, but I don't think Bori would have been high on my list.
Huh. Is it the grudge thing with piglins, or just
No.
as an individual?
Individual.
Dude.
No. I've had a fair amount of fights with different piglin groups over the years. It's nothing against their species, it's against the certain groups they hold. Some bastions were just fine before the switch. A bit territorial, a bit materialistic, sure. But they were fine. Honestly, I respected having a few groups that were willing to bash my head in if I stepped out of line. Not many people are willing to make those types of threats anymore.
Honestly, I'm starting to wonder if... So, from the possible theory that we've talked about involving certain levels of intelligence,
Yes.
would you say that the piglins act the same or are more aggressive?
I would say that nearly all piglins I've met in Convectra after this seem to be under the effects of corruption, yes. Honestly, except the ones who have been zombified. The zombified ones seem to act in much the manner they did before.
Well, if they are similar to what zombies we have here, then...
Not much going on in the mental department, yes.
None except eat.
Ours also tend to stick together, defend those in your own herd, but beyond that, they tend to be fairly docile, not a problem really. Honestly, it's a bit of a surprise how hostile your zombies are. Ours tend not to attack unless you attack one of theirs first.
I do not have an answer to that. Different
Apologies
species.
for continuing to use yours.
Use my what?
Yours, referring to this being your realm. I keep making that mistake.
No, you're fine. As long as I understand what you're saying, I don't see any need for you to apologize.
Alright then.
But most likely it's simply just a matter of different species reacting differently.
Most likely, yes. Different species who have reached sapience level rather than sentience.
Well,
Hmm?
it's quite rude of me to be the only one asking questions. If you have any for me, I would be more than happy to answer.
Let's see. You've got me thinking all about the issues in Convectra right now. What things have you tried in order to get a trace on the problem there?
Sorry. Can you say that again?
What things have you tried in order to try and get a trace on the problem there?
Well, like I said, gathering and studying whatever animals I could find there. Brought back some butterflies, see if they were there. Answer's no. I mean, the butterflies are there, just the corruption is.
Yes. I just thought of something. I don't like bringing this up as an idea of intelligence, and it may just be that they're incapable of causing enough harm to damage me properly. But in my adventures back into Convectra, I have noticed that none of the piglin children have tried to attack me.
Honestly, they're children. They're not meant to be smart.
Perhaps.
Sentience does not mean intelligence.
No. But I'm not sure I like the implications of that.
I can understand, but children are not meant to be intelligent that young.
Alright.
It would be impressive, but
What was the strangest thing for you to get used to in this realm?
the sun.
The sun. What about it?
We don't have that.
No, nor do we. I think it was a night that got me more than the sun. The idea that everything just went dark. Like it was extinguishing. The sun seems fine, though its movements are strange.
What's strange about the movements?
Just the amount of heat it produces for how small it is.
It's more from our distance.
Oh. How distant is it?
I could not answer that. I'm not from here, so I've not studied it further.
Fair enough.
Nor do I really have a need to.
It's just curious if you knew.
Fair enough.
No, The fact that there isn't a reachable ceiling at all is a bit strange.
It is strange how your world is so confined, I would admit.
Perhaps. It does seem that this realm goes further in both directions, so it does eventually hit a bedrock layer. But I've had the concept of void explained to me. It sounds very different than what I'm used to.
In absolute nothingness?
I'll admit I have some issues trying to picture it, but
I've never gone into it, but it is different. Just seeing it. It's a lot like the night sky, but more boundless.
yes, without the stars. Sounds
Like-
frigid.
Oh, I bet.
Does not sound as if it would be a pleasant experience.
I don't know. Looking into it, it felt a little comforting in a way.
I suppose.
Like, it was comforting to know that there is such a thing.
What about progress on your own realm or its portal? How has that been going?
In terms of portals, that's being left to Miles and Construct.
Ah, yes. The recently no longer dead.
Which none of us are really in any rush to go back at the moment, because we still need to figure out what's happening here.
Yes, and finding out
As-
what's happening with that magic.
As for that, we've yet to find anything.
Is there anything I could do to assist with it?
Not sure, honestly.
Fair enough. Well, if something comes up, I'll be willing to hear it out.
We simply don't know what we're looking for, essentially. Something from this world is draining our world's magic. That is all we know. And that this thing is somehow located around here. That's it.
Yes. We mentioned before some sort of conduit or conflux.
Given the fact that we have no idea what we're looking for,
It's a little hard to hunt it down. You mentioned your realm's magical core before. Does this realm have one?
I could not say.
Fair enough.
Does make me wonder if we had a core, then it would be safe to say that every world has one. Makes me wonder where the Convectrum is.
I don't know. Or perhaps it was encapsulated in such a way in your realm to keep it from falling into the void.
Safe to say.
Just a guess.
Maybe the reason why you haven't found it is because it's encapsulated as well, to prevent it from being damaged. After all, there's a lot of a certain thing that most of your own Convectrum species can't exactly go into.
No, most of them tend to start getting a bit bubbly.
It would only make sense that the only safe place for a world's core to go would be somewhere where it can't get damaged.
Perhaps, but I'm not going to start going under every single lava pool.
Fair enough. Plus, we aren't exactly at that point yet.
No. And if it is corrupted, who knows what going closer to it would do.
Although, it would be smart to try to locate it at some point, just not now.
Well, if you determine some sort of way to track it, I'd be more than willing to do a search.
Yes. How does one track a world core?
No idea. I hadn't even heard of them until I came here.
Tracking and scrying usually requires a piece or something akin to holding something of that person. How do you scry a world?
It sounds like it would be both the easiest and most difficult thing to do.
Actually, now that I think about it, probably through the world's ley line.
Oh.
Are you familiar with the term of ley lines?
No, I'm not.
Ley lines are essentially magic, natural and pure. Many a mage actually utilize said ley lines for the sake of powering their own things for eternity.
I've had multiple people bring up this concept of pure magic before. I'll admit it's fairly new as a concept to me.
Pure as a sense of untouched by mortals, essentially. It hasn't been turned into anything yet.
Most of the magic in Convectra turns into the land itself. It's sporadic and chaotic.
Then that is simply how Convectra's ley lines act.
I suppose so.
We would simply need to follow them back.
An interesting thought.
Ley lines themselves are the convergence of two or more powerful sources of magic lining up, overlapping with each other.
So if we find some sort of place where there is essentially a magical conflux, you think there's a chance to find a core?
Think of ley lines as veins in an animal, or a creature, or person. All of them congregate to a heart. And so, a world's core would be the heart, and the ley lines, its blood.
Then yes, this is quite a diseased beast.
If you wish to see your world as an organism, yes.
I don't know, just with the ramblings earlier. You've given me quite a bit to think about.
So with Convectra magic being as chaotic as it is now, or as you said, chaotic are the ley lines over there.
I'll be honest, in comparison to most of the study I've heard up here, which is very mathematical when it comes to magic, a lot of convectrons tend to work a bit more on feel of things. So forgive me if I don't know your terms.
No, that's understandable. Given the fact that, actually no, that might sound insulting.
Oh, go ahead. I love a good insult.
Possibly insulting, but given the fact that Convectra has always been more hostile in nature compared to this world and ours, I don't see why most of Convectra would come together to explore the world and its aspects as to what we've had the opportunity to do.
Here I thought you were going to go utterly annihilate someone again with an insult.
No. You'd have to aggravate me quite a lot to get to that level.
No.
That's not easy.
And so far I enjoy your company. So I don't feel a need to aggravate you.
Thank you for letting me know that.
Oh?
Of course. I'm glad that my company is appreciated.
It is. You seem intelligent and have a decent sense of humor, good sense of how to be a host. You're enjoyable to be around and seem reliable.
I make it a point to always be... what's the term here? Approachable?
Well, you've succeeded.
Of course, I can't exactly help people if I'm not approachable.
I realize I'm not always the most approachable, but I hope to think you understand you can come to me if you need something.
I will keep that in mind. And of course, the same to, well, you and anyone here. If you need help, let me know.
That will be kept in mind and spread among the others as information.
Oh, yes, as to the thing that I said I would make for Ganymede, that is becoming more difficult than I thought it would.
Oh,
The portable heat source.
yes.
I thought it would be easy, but it's not. Infusing a lantern with that much heat tends to melt the metal.
Oh.
So I'm still trying to find a metal or something that can hold that much heat. Honestly, might attempt to make it out of netherite.
I was thinking that myself. Would you need
Although-
samples for that?
No, I have a place where I've set up a mining operation.
And I wish you luck with that.
Mm-hmm.
And not too many spouts of lava coming down on you.
Yeah.
That sounds like you've been melted a bit.
I've been patching it up.
Yes, you don't have any notable lava scarring.
No, believe it or not, I am faster than I look.
I'd believe it. I've seen you in flight.
But I will not take up any more of your time.
Yes. You sure there isn't anything I can get you before you leave?
No, that's more than fine.
Alright. Well, I'll show you to the door at least. Or the entry. Do take care.
You as well. And thank you for satiating my curiosity.
Of course. And if I have questions of you, I will ask them.
Of course, you know where to find me.
Yes.
And I will get started on the pathway tomorrow.
Well, I wish you luck with that. And a lack of government bureaucracy.
I'm sure they'll understand.
Well, have a good...
Evening.
Why are all of your exit terms related to the sky here? Ugh.
I could not tell you.
Have a good one.
You as well.